You were telling me about Epstein and this island years ago. You were telling me long before anybody, I think you told me about him before his first arrest.
A long time ago, I talked about how they have these islands, they fly, they compromise children. But I learned all this from Ted Gunderson 20 plus years ago. He was in line to be the FBI director. He was the head of the FBI in Los Angeles. He was a very famous FBI agent. He came out and he was the one that explained to me about how they use these blackmail rings and foreign intelligence groups and how they would basically make people have sex with children to be part of these clubs and these cults they were setting up.
Hi there. Welcome to Red Alert. We are going to delve into a disturbing chapter of American history, the Jeffrey Epstein case. The recent developments surrounding the FBI's request to block the release of secret files related to Epstein have raised significant concerns. In a bid to prevent the release of secret files related to the infamous Jeffrey Epstein, the FBI has approached a New York judge requesting the categorical withholding of these files. This move comes in anticipation of a potential retrial in the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking case. The official reason given is that releasing these files could potentially taint the jury pool. While justice must prevail, we must also ensure transparency and accountability. Let's take a closer look at this issue.
There are still so many questions about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his ties to the rich and famous and his ties to sex trafficking around the world. Epstein died by suicide while awaiting trial on federal charges in New York in August of 2019. But before that, he pleaded guilty in 2008 to state charges in Florida of procuring a person under age 18 for prostitution and felony solicitation of prostitution. That guilty plea followed a 2006 Palm Beach County grand jury investigation where teenage girls testified Epstein paid them to give him massages. Critics have called that plea agreement a slap on the wrist, and the Palm Beach Post has sued to obtain the grand jury testimony. The paper won an appeal, with a judge writing that grand jury transcripts are secret, but there are exceptions to each rule.
The FBI's recent request to prevent the release of classified files related to Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, has raised eyebrows. This request comes in the wake of preparations for a retrial of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was found guilty of aiding Epstein's heinous crimes and died in his Manhattan jail cell on August 10, 2017, by committing suicide. The argument put forth by the Department of Justice is that the premature release of these files could potentially taint the jury pool for Maxwell's retrial. The very first question that arises here is, did he really commit suicide, or was he murdered to protect someone else from his testimony?
Awaiting his trial, as we all know, Epstein was pronounced dead in his prison cell, which was ruled a suicide by hanging. As for Jeffrey Epstein's former partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, well, she was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse minors.
But let's ask the critical questions. The case of Jeffrey Epstein has long been shrouded in controversy, with allegations of a high-profile sex trafficking ring involving influential figures. The public's right to know is more important, especially in matters of justice and accountability. Why is the FBI so determined to block the release of these files? Are they truly concerned about the integrity of the retrial, or is there a hidden agenda at play? The lead prosecutor in the Maxwell case, Maureen Comey, has admitted that these files contain information beyond what was presented in the initial trial. They include undisclosed exhibits, potential trial witnesses, and even statements from additional victims of Epstein's crimes. Now let's watch this video of when one of the victims tried to report Epstein and Maxwell after the assault.
So in '96, you spoke to the NYPD about an assault that happened in Ohio.
Correct.
What did the NYPD do from there?
They they didn't write down everything, which upsets me, because they thought it was too much. They said, Maria, we want this report to stick or whatever. So what we're going to do is they wrote down a little number on a sheet of paper and tore it, a little sheet of paper, and handed it to me. Not even a sticky note. And I was shaking, and it was the FBI's phone number, and I called them.
So you spoke to the FBI in '96 after speaking to the NYPD. Did the FBI follow up with you?
No, they did not, Jesse. In fact, I spoke to the man for 45 minutes, and I said, well, should I call the other FBI agencies like Ohio, because this happened in Ohio? So I ended up telling them it's an international pedophile And I didn't know the word trafficking. I said kidnapping ring. And I said, I was kidnapped, and he's having all these children come and go all day. What are we going to do? And he goes, well, you can do what you want. And he hung up on me. I never heard from him again. 10 years.
Hung up on you.
He hung up on me. That's right. They hung up on me.
Legal experts and concerned citizens have voiced their doubts. The victims have already gone through a lot. They point out that sealing away these files not only stifles the truth and justice for these victims, but also raises questions about the potential involvement of other influential figures in Epstein's circle. Epstein was known to have associations with various well-known personalities, including former presidents and billionaires. And considering the actions of FBI, maybe current President Biden or any of FBI or DOJ members are also involved in this case.
So we are in the process of getting that notice of claim filed with the FBI.
And what's the basis of the claim specifically?
The basis of the claim is very much about the utter failure of the FBI to pay any attention to Maria Farmer's 1996 report, and also so many other reports after that, including her 2006 report and so many other victims' reports. And they ignored them, and they didn't take them seriously. And as a result, this created nearly a quarter of a century of victims. They could have been spared if the FBI had done their job.
The FBI has been engaged in a legal battle for nearly 6 years to withhold these documents from RadarOnline.com. The website RadarOnline.com, represented by noted First Amendment lawyer Dan Novak, sued the FBI in 2017 and demanded they reveal their entire case against Epstein. Since then, RadarOnline.com has been trying to obtain access to FBI file contents. A shelf full of black binders, including CDs with images, a passport from a foreign nation with a picture of Epstein under another name, and other documents, were found during a 2019 FBI search of Epstein's Manhattan residence. Additionally, when they sawed open a safe, they discovered hard drives, CDs, jewelry, and diamonds inside. On a related search, FBI and NYPD agents raided Epstein's Caribbean house on the U.S. Virgin Island and were shown on video carding evidence, including several laptops. Much of the material, as well as information concerning Epstein's work as an FBI informant, which was initially covered in an exclusive News.com piece, has never been made public. The cloud of doubt looming over the FBI's intentions, one can't help but wonder if there's an ulterior motive behind this move.
Wants these cases for that particular reason, so that Comey's daughter gets Epstein, Maxwell, and Tartaglione, suggests that either she's the greatest prosecutor that they have in there, or there's politics going on that is enabling, the daughter of Comey to be given these, particularly plum assignments.
Or this just adds more layers to
and it does
what
that
already,
too. And it does that too, because it keeps it all centralized within this ring of extremely powerful people.
Right. I mean, and there's just a lot of conspiracy theories already around this case. And it's like, why add to it? Why couldn't you just find other people to handle this?
They should, but they could find someone else named like Clinton or something, or an unrelated Clinton. We swear. Would anyone believe that? Wouldn't that be funny?
The argument presented by Comey, the prosecutor of this case, revolves around the potential impact on the jury pool and the risk of influencing jurors' perceptions. While that's a valid concern, it cannot overshadow the importance of transparency and allowing the public to have access to information that could hold the powerful accountable. Prior to that, Comey informed the judge that the release of the FBI's records relating to the investigation and prosecution of Epstein would provide Maxwell with greater access to the agency's investigative files than she would otherwise have through the criminal discovery process. Violates the protective order entered by Judge Nathan in the criminal case against Maxwell. Risk influence by the media upon witnesses and the jury. Potentially influence witnesses' trial testimony by the media. The FBI is worried that releasing the Epstein case file could affect Maxwell's prosecution. Comey also believes that revealing all FBI documents related to Epstein's investigation could harm any future trials involving Maxwell. And Maxwell needs access to all FBI files related to Epstein's case for a fair trial. A new trial may attract negative media attention. Media coverage of the trial could affect potential witnesses and jurors, so a protective order prevents the release of government materials. Comey warned that releasing records prematurely could impact jurors' perception due to speculation and theories. Maxwell has appealed the criminal judgment, focusing on 5 issues including the sentence and jury misconduct. As per Maxwell's latest attorney, Arthur Aidala, the government has breached a non-prosecution agreement that granted immunity to Miss Maxwell for the charges against her. The agreement, which was signed by the government and Epstein in 2007, clearly forbade this prosecution from the beginning, as mentioned in its provisions. It's important to remember that justice should be impartial and blind. While we respect the legal process and understand the need to ensure a fair trial, we also believe that the public's right to know should not be compromised. There is already many conspiracy regarding this case. Blocking the release of information that sheds light on Epstein's activities and potential accomplices might inadvertently protect those who enabled his actions. Let's remember the victims who have suffered unimaginably due to Epstein's heinous crimes. While we respect the need for a fair trial, we must also demand transparency and accountability from our government institutions. We must ensure that the pursuit of justice does not obscure the pursuit of truth. The search for truth and justice should never be compromised. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and demand transparency in all aspects of our society. Goodbye.